3 is going to be pretty stacked. Very surprised, I must say. I thought Dana White was going to do a little bit of a screw job on ESPN on the last pay-per-view on their TV rights deal. Now, there are a lot of crazy matchups that just got announced, and I'm going to be going through some of those and also looking at the rest of the events coming to the close of 2025 and the end of the ESPN deal. And we will be walking into the new Paramount deal with a lot of interesting fights that could be made. And man, I'm pretty excited. And I gotta start this video off by saying props to the UFC and the brass. Because the fights that were announced for UFC 323, as well as the addition of Sean Brady and Michael Morales to UFC 322. And I know it's kind of been the thing to do, because it's been the thing, is the UFC brass, Dana, and a lot of those guys, Hunter Campbell, were making some bad decisions, fight-making-wise, matchmaking-wise, and not only that, but just the lack of the promotion in general, and the lack of stacked cards. But I feel like ever since UFC 314, with Volkanovski reclaiming the belt against Diego Lopez, that they have done a whole lot of a better job. Now, with all that being said, let's get into some of these matchups. And we got the literal machine, Merab Dvalishvili, will be going for 4 title defenses in a single calendar year. A new record, will be rematching in what was one of the most one-sided fights in UFC bantamweight history, if not history. He'll be taking on Petr Yan. And Merab is already opening up as a huge favorite. But let's talk about just the circumstances of this fight first. And the fact that Merab, say what you will about his style, but man, he's willing to go fight. He wants to fight, and he wants to be active. And he's the bantamweight champion. So, honestly, at this point, Merab's kind of his fights are never crazy. The quality and the entertainment value of them, though, have gotten better. And I gotta say, I don't know if this is my bias for really loving to watch Petr Yan fight, but I think Yan may make it close. No, in all seriousness, no, I actually don't think Yan will make it close. I don't know. I keep going back and forth on this. I don't know. But I am glad Merab said he wanted to do this, because I guarantee it, even though this is a sick fight and I'm very excited for it, I guarantee it they were planning this as the main event until we got Merab and Yan as the main event. And that's all thanks to Merab wanting to turn around quickly and get another title defense. And claps for Merab, the machine, Dvalishvili. Now, early prediction, it's going to be Merab. I mean, how is it not? Shoot, maybe Yan really was hurt. I know he said that, and he was tweeting about how he was hurt and how rematches are always different after that Alex Pereira knockout. So maybe that's true. And I really do think, compared to last fight, no way Yan has another horrible performance like that. And there's no way Merab will be able to do that same exact thing to him. Yan's too well-rounded. He has a good grappling game, good grappling defense, and amazing striking. So, I'm still going to take Merab, most likely 49-46. But I am excited about this fight, and we're going to talk more about UFC 323 towards the end of the video, and how much of a hardcore fan card that is, because there are some sneaky good matchups on there. And it's not like the most storylined main event bantamweight title fight, but it's still gonna be the main event on a good card with a banger of a main event. And we got Alexandre Pantoja defending his crown against Joshua Van. And Van popped out of nowhere. That dude just rose up. And it's funny because he really did, but at the same time, for some reason, before I started literally watching every fight on every fight night because I have no social life, before I really started doing that, like in high school, which was a few years ago for me, I remember seeing Van on Apex cards. I remember watching him fight and be like, man, Van, he's pretty slick, dude. And he's just rose up these rankings coming off a big win against Brandon Raw Dog Royval. By the way, I was at that fight. Anyways, it was a sick fight. Joshua Van goes out there and throws down for the boys. Yeah! And Alexandre Pantoja is chasing flyweight GOAT status. And early prediction, I think I'll be taking Pantoja as well. Pantoja is, man, he's just so good on the ground. He's so dangerous too. That's why he is so good. He's so dangerous on the ground. They're not the same style of fighters whatsoever, but like Charles, he's so good because he's dangerous on the ground. Like, I love, like, people are always like, man, you probably don't like grapplers, or, man, the grapplers, that's what. No, I like dangerous fighters. And Alexandre the Cannibal Pantoja is exciting and threatening, and he is a grappler, a ground fighter. Now, he's probably going to win this fight, and you might, if Merab doesn't want to move up, make Pantoja Merab. Like, Merab probably runs through him, right? But, dude, you have two. After this fight, Pantoja, you can honestly kind of make the argument now, but I lean towards probably he'd need one more for me, I think, to overtake DJ, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. Shout out Mighty Mouse, of like the flyweight GOAT. Because Mighty Mouse, his title defenses, you go back, like, they're kind of better. They're better than Pantoja's right now. Nevertheless, though, Pantoja has still been a wonderful champion. Phenomenal fighter. And Joshua Van is a fan favorite, man. He's super promotable. My Christian brethren. And I'm really excited for this fight. I really am, because I think it's really interesting to see what Van can do against a guy as high level and as good as a grappler as Pantoja. Because I'm afraid Van's just not going to have the grappling chops. He's only been training, I think, for 6 to 7 years. Almost said 6-7 years. I hate brain rot, man. But nevertheless, those are two sick title fights. Even though it's more likely they could be smush fests. But I don't think it'll be that. Even though I lean towards both champions retaining, I don't think either of the opponents will be a rollover. Yan and Van. Yan and Vaughn. Let's go, dude. I can't wait for these fights. And also, to go into November before this December pay-per-view, Sean Brady will be taking on Michael Morales at UFC 322, and UFC 322 as well is shaping up to be a super stacked card. Shout out the welterweight matchups lately. In hindsight, though, man, Ian Gary ducked Sean Brady, and Sean Brady is about to whoop up on Michael Morales. Shout out Philly. Shout out America. Man, Michael Morales I like him too. He's a fun fighter to watch work, especially on the feet. Young, very good athlete. But man, anytime he is threatened with grappling, being put on that back foot and worrying about having to freaking drop hip level and shake a guy off from taking you down, it just seems to mess him up. Seems to throw him off his game. Seem to throwing, a couple wrenches, And I think Sean Brady is probably 4.5 times better pressure grappler than anyone Michael Morales has faced. And I think Sean Brady's just going to be able to implement his will against Michael Morales. And that's why the fight, because Michael really, his best win's a washed up Gilbert Burns. And I love Gilbert, but he's pretty washed now, man. And that's Michael Morales' best win. I think they're throwing him to the wolves a little bit here. And I think Sean Brady's going to roll him over. And man, why would you not make Ian Gary Sean Brady and then you have an easy number 1 contender match? Man, No. But that should have been the fight. And Ian Gary ducked him, obviously. There's so many sources saying that he did. Ian Gary, I don't, like, who am I supposed to root for? Ian Gary or Bilal Muhammad? Give me a break, man. That's impossible. That's going to be a crazy hate watch. Because I hate both of them. Anyways, yeah, Sean Brady's going to roll over Michael Morales. I'm pretty sure. But Morales is dangerous on the feet. He really is, but Sean Brady's going to roll over him for sure. 322. The card's turning out to be nice. Moving on. UFC, what are we doing, man? What is this fight? Henry Cejudo is taking on Peyton Talbot at UFC 323. Am I the only one that thinks Henry's going to maul him? I mean, Peyton was having trouble with Felipe Lima in grappling exchanges. I don't know why this fight is happening. The only thing I can say is somehow this fight was thrown about and Cejudo really wanted it so he can get a win and hopefully get a spot on the White House card. That's my main thinking for Henry Cejudo. And Peyton Talbot, if you're Peyton Talbot, do you turn down this fight? You know, especially like with how Peyton Talbot has the chance to win in the best opportunity. And it's his main thing is starching you with his boxing. I don't think Talbot's that good, though. He has good stand-up, good footwork, good power for the bantamweight division. But I don't think it's, like, insane, you know? Like, Sean O'Malley, that's his style. And he's insanely good at it, and he still gets dominated at the highest level. And I don't think Peyton Talbot's half of what Sean O'Malley is. So I think Henry Cejudo rolls him over. And he really didn't look that bad in that Song Yadong fight. Until it got stopped because of the couldn't continue eye poke. Nevertheless, weird fight. Interesting, though. And another freaking good fight. I mean, it may not be like the perfect matchups or whatnot, but at least they're not making... Like, we've had some pay-per-views earlier this year that were dreadful. Like the JDM knocking off Bilal Muhammad. That card was horrible. It ended up being pretty entertaining, but the card was not good. Actually, I don't even think it was that entertaining now that I think about it. So, nevertheless, though. And then, one more matchup we'll talk about real quick. Jan Blachowicz taking on Bogdan Guskov at UFC 323. A phenomenal light heavyweight bout between a surging up-and-comer from Uzbekistan, Bogdan Guskov. He's going to be fighting the always crafty, the always Polish power, the always cutting the tree down with his Polish power leg kicks, Jan Blachowicz. That was horrible. I was trying to be funny. Anyways, Jan Blachowicz is going to win this fight. Until Jan Blachowicz shows me a sign of him aging and slowing down, I'm going to pick him against probably every light heavyweight outside of like 4 or 5. He's that good. And his style, he's very well-rounded, powerful, always just seems to find a way to implement a strategy that works in his favor and wins these fights. But Bogdan is a quick light heavyweight. And I think there is a chance here Blachowicz could get caught. But his chin's good. His chin's really good. So, I don't know. I'm going to have to think more about this fight. I like this fight, though. I think it's a very underrated fight. I think it could be very entertaining. So, I was going to keep that one a little short and sweet. But I wanted to give it the appreciation it deserves because it's a fun matchup against 2 great light heavyweights. To close out the video, oh shoot, I forgot about this one. I was skipping ahead in my plan. Brandon Moreno taking on Tatsuro Taira. And if you've been watching Senol MMA, you know that I think Tatsuro Taira is a future flyweight champion. And he will beat Brandon Moreno at UFC 333. Shout out Brandon Moreno. No, I hate that they made this matchup. It's a great matchup and the correct matchup to make. No doubt. But I like Brandon Moreno. He's a cool nerd. I like him. And I like Taira too, but I really like Moreno. I don't know why, but I do. But I do think Tetsura is going to win. And I think he's very good, man. I think that ground control is insane. And he doesn't have the craziest stand-up, but he's very fast on the feet. And he moves very well. So at the very least, it's going to be hard to hit him. You know, and Brandon Moreno has that very wide stance. You know, he likes to throw a jab. He likes to be in and out, leg kick, mixed to the body. You know, and Brandon's good. But I don't think he will be able to get the damage on Tyra. And I think Tyra will be able to out-grapple him. Because I think Tyra is as good as, if not better than Pantoja is on the ground. I will lean towards better. And I think Tetsuro gets this done. But it's a great fight. I think it's very interesting. Another very underrated fight. I think this fight could be so fun to watch. The scrambles, because Brandon Moreno is a very good ground fighter. And I like watching him on the feet. I like how he mixes it up, works to the body, leg kicks. So I think this could be a very fun fight. And I can't wait for UFC 323. Shout out Big Marcel, though, too. One of the best account follows if you love MMA on Twitter, dude. He always is reporting stuff, always seems to be accurate, puts these little lists together because the UFC can't even update their website. But anyways, the UFC sometimes, man, I don't know how they make so much money. But let's look at the end, or like the next 2-3 months, right? So we got UFC Fight Night Vancouver this Saturday. Prediction video coming out tomorrow. Solid card, especially these 3 fights. Like, I'm not going to go crazy over this fight night, but it's solid. You got some names on there. You have a crafty Davy Grant placement against Charles Jourdain. I like the matchmaking. Matt Frevola, Kyle Nesson. Not a bad fight at all. Ariki Long? I just like saying his name. Oh, man. And honestly, for women's WMMA, Faro and Jazz Divigius is pretty good. Not the biggest Zahabi guy. He just kind of cringes me. Good fighter, though. Cheeto, always fun to watch. Kevin Holland, Mike Malott, interesting. How good is Malott? What Kevin Holland do we get? Main event was supposed to be way better. It's supposed to be RDR taking on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. My best friend. We talk all the time. We were so bummed he had to pull out, man. We were upset about it. But nevertheless, it's a good card. Everybody knows about UFC 321. This is where we run into problems, those guys. We run into lots of problems here. Lots of problems. It's a bad card. Both of those are not great cards whatsoever. Very random matches on the card. There's a couple sneaky ones there that are somewhat interesting. Main events are pitiful, even though they're both actually pretty good fights, you know. But for a main event is very upsetting, to say the least. We're back in the Apex. I'm actually real hardcore. I'm real hardcore. My favorite places to watch the fight are the Apex. You can hear the thud. Real hardcore fan. No, if people say that, and you're homosexual probably if you say that, by the way. Nevertheless, though, we'll have to suffer a couple weeks. But then we are blessed. Look at this run between these 3 weekends. Dude, look at it. It's beautiful. And then we have to suffer through another Apex card. At least the main event's sick, though. That should be a sick fight. If Cop actually, makes the walk. Cop likes to walk out of the fight. But pun. Yes. God, I'm so tired, man. I'm sorry. I'm so sleepy. I was sleepy. Nevertheless, though, UFC 322 and 323 are so good, dude. Like 322 more than 323 just for the storyline. But let's start with 323. Give the underrated card its appreciation. Dude, 2 championship fights, 2 very they may not be the most super compelling just because both champions are going to be very favorited. But then the challengers are 2 fan favorites. 2 awesome fighters. So the fights, themselves aren't as interesting like UFC 322 when you think about it, but it has the chance to be really good. And at least it's 2 title fights. It's 2 title fights. And then if you go to the rest of the card, we have Brandon Moreno, Tatsuro Taira. Great fight. Jan Blachowicz, Bogdan Guskov. Great fight. Henry Cejudo, Peyton Talbot. Weird fight. Could it be great? Possibly. We don't know. Interesting, though. That's something. Not a bad women's fight at all, Macy Barber, Corrine Silva. I mean, I didn't even know that was on there until I just looked at it. Dude, and Marvin Vettori, Bruno Ferreira just got added. Crazy Hulk Bruno Ferreira has crazy power. Can he break the granite Italian chin of Marvin Vettori? I don't know, but that's a good fight. That's a fun fight. Grant Dawson, Manuel Torres. Grant Dawson in the top 15. I believe number 14. Surging up the rankings, taking on an unranked, very highly touted prospect in Manuel Torres. Great fight. Terrence McKinney, Chris Duncan. I would have gave Chris Duncan a little bit more of another kind of more up there known lightweight. But Terrence McKinney's dangerous. A very well-rounded fighter. A little chinny. Chris Duncan, a scrappy skull. Surging, or not really surging necessarily, coming off a great win and a great fight against Mateusz Renzbecki. That's a fun freaking card. Like, it's probably not worth $85, but $55 would be reasonable, I believe. But how many of any of these cards are worth $85, right? Nevertheless. And then to end the video, we'll talk about UFC 322. I mean, we so pumped for JDM Islam. So excited for that. Then we'll have Valentina Zhang Li. Very intriguing. Very interesting. Sean Brady, Michael Morales. Freaking interesting. Dude, the 2 great welterweight bouts on the 322 card. Dude, I forgot. Leon Edwards and Carlos Prates. I low-key forgot about that after hearing the Sean Brady, Michael Morales news. So, Aaron Blanchfield, Tracy Cortez. That's a good women's bout. And Tracy Cortez, beautiful woman. Beautiful lady, to say the least. Aaron Blanchfield, she's good. So, she's a good fighter. She's a good fighter. Benil Dariush, the Iranian. A good Christian man himself, Benil Dariush, taking on BST, Benoit Saint-Denis. You know, the Special Forces guy himself. Coming off a big win against Mauricio Ruffy, where I picked Ruffy. About everybody picked Ruffy, except BSD Glazers. Nevertheless, so Benil Dariush coming off a solid win against Hanato Moicano. Not the most exciting fight. I was there, I'm not to brag or nothing. Good fight. Angela Hill is still in the UFC. You do with that information as you will. Roman Kopylov and RoboCop. Good fight. Bo Nickel, it's interesting. I low-key think Vieira is going to be a tough out for him. Kyle Dawkins and Gerald Mearshart. Very good fight for lower-ranked middleweights. That's interesting to me. We'll have Malcolm Wellmaker on the card, as well as Sir Sarkayev, the Dana White Contender Series guy. They're actually building these cards out in good ways. And decently smart most of the time, too. And good job, Dana. Good job, Hunter Campbell. Good job, UFC. I'm excited. You got my attention, even though you already had it, even when you put out slop, and you forced me to eat your slop. No diddy. Nevertheless, though, I hope you guys enjoyed today's discussion about the new MMA news, these new fights, how exciting they're going to be, in the discussion about the future cards and actually the UFC doing better at their freaking job finally. So, nevertheless, though, guys, please like and subscribe. And if you've made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. I love you. Jesus.